Hey sweet cupcakes, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to show you how to make these really cute bow headbands. So yeah, let's just jump right into this tutorial. Okay, so we are going to start out with a headband. These are the headbands that I like to use. They are plastic. They are 1-inch headbands, which means that at its thickest, which is at the top, they are 1 inch wide. So I'm taking the width and then also the length, and I'm going to measure this out onto a piece of paper. I'm adding about 1 inch to the length of the actual headband, just so that our fabric goes onto the headband nicely. So this strip ended up being 15 inches by 2 inches. So this is the strip for the headband. Since my headband is tapered at the ends, I'm just going to go ahead and taper the strip just so that it fits a little bit more snug. If your headband is the same thickness or the same width all around, then you don't need to do this, but I decided to do it just for a nicer fit. So now we're going to move on to the bow. The bow can be pretty much any thick and length that you want. What I ended up doing was I made another rectangle just like this, and I tapered the ends a little bit more of a sharper edge than the actual headband piece. And what I do is I just fold the rectangle in half so that both ends have the same point. And this one ended up being 13 inches by 2.5 inches. So here is the fabric that I'm going to use. This is Incredibles fabric. It's so cute, and I think that this is perfect for headbands because they're icons, and it's just a very small print, so I think it's perfect. Sometimes when you get fabric and it has a larger print on it, it's really difficult to get the whole pattern or to get the images onto the headband, since we're not working with a lot of fabric. So I definitely recommend fabrics with smaller prints. I'm taking each of my patterns and I'm going to cut out 2 pieces for the bow, 2 pieces for the actual headband. Here I have some lightweight interfacing. This is fusible interfacing. What interfacing is basically a stabilizer for fabric. It's going to make your fabric a little bit stiffer. I'm going to use this for the bow part of the headband, just so that the bow isn't too floppy. And I think it's important to get interfacing that is fusible because it's really easy to use. All you do is iron it on. So I'm cutting out 2 pieces of the fusible interfacing for the bow. So I'm going to use the bow pattern. I'm going to place the glue part down onto the back of the fabric, and just with an iron, you just want to go ahead and press it. So I'm going to go ahead and start sewing the bow part of the headband. I'm going to go ahead and sew all around, but I'm going to leave about 2 inches of space right in the middle of the bow. So it should look like this. And I believe I left about 1/4 of an inch on it as a seam allowance, or maybe 1/8 of an inch. But just very close to the edges. And I'm snipping each of the corners of the bow so that when we turn it inside out, the points aren't too bulky. So I'm turning this inside out. You want to take a blunt edge, so I'm just using closed scissors to poke out each of the points of the bow. And I'm going to go ahead and press this with my iron. And so here is my bow piece all ironed, so it's nice and flat. And just to close that gap, I'm going to go ahead and use an invisible stitch. It's really easy to do an invisible stitch. You just want to go ahead and pull your needle and thread through, and you're just grabbing a little piece of each side of the fabric. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can see here what I'm doing. It's kind of like a zigzag motion, and I'm going to do this all the way onto that open space just to close it. So I'm going to move on to the headband part. I'm using different fabric because I messed up the red fabric. So it's gonna jump kind of back and forth between fabrics, but yeah, so I have my 2 pieces here, and all I'm gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 right sides together, and I'm gonna sew all the way around, again leaving about a 2-inch gap, but this time I'm gonna leave the gap near one end of the strip of fabric, and this is just going to make it easier for us to put our headband through. So this is what it should look like, and since the points on this piece aren't too sharp, I'm just going to cut around each of the ends, making sure not to cut our actual seams, because then it's just going to rip open. And I'm going to turn this inside out. And you don't have to iron this piece. I feel like it looks better if it's not ironed. And so you just find the open spot that we left and put your headband through. And this actual piece, since we cut it about 1 inch bigger than the actual headband, it's gonna fit a little bit loose on the headband. I personally like that, but you can change that if you want a tighter fit. And so we do the same thing as we did with the bow, using an invisible stitch to close up that gap that we left open. And then after this, we are basically all done. So we take the bow part of the headband and just tie a knot. And you don't need to double knot this because it should stay in place. So just 1 knot at the top, and that is pretty much it. I love these headbands so much. They're so cute, and I like that you can change the bow around if you want the bow to be on top or on each side. So that is all for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.